So, alright guys, I'm here to do a quick little sort of strategy guide and let's play as it were for the game Conflict, the Middle Eastern Political Simulator. I live tweeted the game yesterday, got a good reaction. I'm quite good at the game, so I'll give it a go for you today. Right, new Israeli premier assassinated. This is always going to happen, that's the old one. And then there's the new Israeli premier chosen, and that's the player. So, right, I'll go through all the countries now. So Egypt is very strong militarily, the strongest nation militarily, and very strong, difficult to destabilize. You also border with Jordan, who's moderately weak militarily, and quite easy to destabilize. Lebanon is just very, very weak in all regards. If it lasts a year, it's kind of a miracle for Lebanon. Syria is sort of the second strongest militarily. Decently hard to destabilize as well. So I'll go through the actions of what you can do. So Egyptian diplomats are engaged in talks with Libya, so that means their relations are probably about to get better. The main thing is our relations with Egypt, they're good, so we want to keep them good. We do not want to go to war with Egypt. This stage in the game, only very late game do we want to go to war with Egypt after we've got a lot of US financial aid. Intelligence, you always want to undermine Egypt using intelligence because it's the strongest nation and it's easily really contend with you in a war. So Iran, well, you don't border it, you always want to undermine it because the last thing you want is Iran and Iraq going to war, nuking each other, and then if a country with nukes uses nukes and a country with nukes, it ends the game through mutually assured destruction. So you always want to undermine the Iranians. Iraq is an interesting country because it borders with Syria, Jordan, and Iran. So if you can sort of get Iraq to attack Syria, you can put Syria into a unsustainable two-front war. You can also get rid of Jordan for you. They are engaged in talk with Damascus, so it looks like they're not going to attack Syria this game. I will just keep present relations with Iraq. I will undermine Iraq for this reason as well. So now we're on to Jordan. I'll just try to improve with Jordan and support counter activities of insurgents. Lebanon, keep them the same, and I'll support counter activities of insurgents. Lebanon, most of the time, is just going to fail from being undermined internally through guerrilla war. Libya, I'll try to be friendly with Libya because Egypt is friendly with Libya. We want to avoid war with Egypt at all costs. I will also keep Libya stable because Egypt may eventually go to war with them. Normally, Egypt will knock out Libya in a turn, but if Egypt is in a two-front war with Israel and Libya, it can sometimes lose to Libya. Rare, I've never had it happen. As Syria, I'll try to improve with Syria. I'm not going to try and start any wars, but I will, do the normal undermining them through guerrilla war. The way you win this game is by removing all the governments of your neighbors, that's Syria, Lebanon, Jordan, and Egypt, by either coupping them or invading them or having someone else invade them. So now we go on to the second screen in the game. So we have our military budget. We're going to, first of all, go to Nuclear Club. Fund it. You always want to pursue nuclear weapons. In this game, they can potentially be used as a last-ditch effort on Syria or Egypt, but you will get an arms embargo from the United States, so now I'm going to talk about arms. So the first thing you always want to purchase is the AWACS spy plane. This allows you to see when there is a build-up of enemy forces on your border by going to the strategic actions screen. So I'm going to purchase that. I'm also going to purchase arms. So I'll also get some attack helicopters. These are very good. These are anti-tank. It says they're weapons mostly, so I'm going to buy 50 units of them. The strategic action, this is where you can engage in combat. If I click, for example, Egypt, we're not going to do anything. You can do increase the presence with a small scale deployment. That will put 1 brigade on. If you do full scale deployment, then that will put five of your brigades on it. So if we go to review forces, if you do small scale deployment, it will be some weaponry and a brigade. If you do large scale deployment, it will be 5 brigades. So you have the icons. They're the 2,000 main battle tanks, 25 SAM systems, 5 anti-tank helicopters, 200 jets, 50 light tanks. What Israel is always going to start off with. Note the stuff I bought hasn't gone on yet because it takes a turn delay for that stuff to go on. So now we're going to Palestinians. Palestinians very rarely provide any issues for Israel. As you can see, low profile presence and soft tactics effect on Palestinian protesters. So I'm not really doing anything. You can post a brigade there, and then you can use soft or hard tactics if you really want to suppress Palestinian dissent. If they become much of a problem, in my experience, it's very rare for them to become a problem. So I'm going to go on to the next term. So Iranian border town sphere, Iraqi army presence. This is a common sort of trope in this game. Iraq and Iran are going to go to war with each other. This game is set in 1997, and there was actually a real Iran-Iraq war in the 80s. So I suppose they're sort of basing it off that. Get relations between Iran and Iraq worsen. And again, Iraq complains to UN of unprovoked attacks. USSR claims Libyan diplomat was shot down in Baghdad. So this is going to be waning relations between Libya and Iraq. Write that down. Iraq not going to each other, and car bomb found in Damascus was made in Iran. So that means there's been an attempted coup by Iran on Syria. So a lot's gone on. Not much of it is to my advantage at this stage, though. So, yeah, so I'm going to go to Egypt. Yeah, so go back to that. Trade talks start in Libya and Egypt, so I want to be friendly with both Egypt and Libya whilst undermining them. So I want to, again, undermine Iran. I will also undermine Iraq because they're friendly with Syria. And the last thing we want to do is Iran-Iraq nuclear war, although none of them have started to develop nukes yet. Jordan, let's see. I'll try to be nice to Jordan whilst undermining them. Lebanon. I'll keep relations with Lebanon. Lebanon very rarely attacks Israel. Also keep undermining them. Libya, be nice to Libya and stabilize their government in case they eventually go to war with Egypt. It very rarely makes any difference. Syria, Iraqi ministers, yep, so I'm going to again try to be friendly with Syria. And I was supporting their insurgents. Right, so now if we go to review forces, the helicopter support have now gone on. So I'm going to, because we are low on SAM systems, I'm going to buy some SAMs. Yeah, let's buy 50 SAMs. Buy some more helicopters. So, and always do nuclear weapons. It says, 3 months required, but it's always longer than that. They always get pushed back. That's strategic action, so no one is building up on the borders, which is what we would expect. I'm going to keep it that way. I see no reason to sort of start wars at this stage, because if I start a war with someone else could start a war with me, and then I'm in a two-front war. That's almost a guaranteed loss in this game. Next turn again. So yeah, Egypt and Libya now have a military pact. That doesn't mean anything really, because if I attack Egypt, Libya does not border Israel, so it cannot possibly attack me. But I think Iranian leaders screams for war against Iraq, so Iranian war machine gets into gear for battle, and the war has begun. Iraqi tank losses are reported to be high, so that's fortunately not what we want, because we want Iran to lose. But so try to be friendly with Egypt. Okay, we're being friendly with Egypt. Keep undermining them. Iran. We want to try to collapse Iran. Fortunately, it's not. It's going to take more turns of destabilization. I'll keep destabilizing Iraq also. To try and just end this war as soon as possible, get one of their governments to collapse. Right. Keep improving with Jordan. Keep undermining them. Lebanon. Keep undermining them. Libya. Friendly with Libya. Alliance with Egypt. And support. Stabilize it in case it eventually goes to war with Egypt. Try to improve with Syria. Whilst keeping. So I will tell you as well, if you press Shift B, you get an analysis screen. So showing all the stuff. So how strong they are. Lebanon is weakening internally through guerrilla war. Jordan is staying quite strong. Iraq and Iran are quite strong. As is everyone else. Lebanon, but that's completely typical in this game, as it's the weakest state by far. So I've got a low military budget because, again, I'm kind of safe with all the nations around me, so they know the Knesset is not really giving me much stuff. So I will buy just some light tanks from Britain. Normally, unfortunately, USA does not sell light tanks. Buying from the USA is, as much as possible, is a good idea, because they give you a financial aid package at the end of the year, and if you have good relations, it's a lot bigger. The way to destroy your relations with the United States is to use nukes, and you get a full arms embargo. You have to go to the private dealer. The private dealer is worse, as anything you buy from him has a lag on it of a couple of turns, because he's private, he's not an official state. So he's a South African selling Soviet era equipment. Strategic action, no one is building my borders or hostile to me, so I'll just carry on. Nuclear club, keep funding nuclear. It still says 3 months. I warned about in the last turn. So again, no Arab unrest in Palestine thus far. So next turn. So Syria aspires an Arab disapproval of Lebanese regime. So that means Syria is going to war with Lebanon very soon. Syria will simply crush Lebanon in under a turn. Again, things are doing well for Iran. We don't like this. We want Iraq to win, idealistically. Syria denies Lebanese votes to get foreign race that Syria and Lebanon hate each other. Yeah, so basically the Iraqi traders are complaining about Lebanese imports. That means they have an alliance with Syria, so even more so, Lebanon is going to get hit. Fortunately, it can't really be to my advantage as the game implies, because it's just they're going to crush them in one turn. But at least that's one state down. It'll be nice to Egypt while supporting their insurgents. Iran keep supporting their insurgents. Iraq as well keep supporting their insurgents. Jordan, be nice to Jordan, but undermine them. Lebanon. Yeah, deterioration of the present establishment is accelerating. I'll just keep supporting their insurgents. They're a goner anyway. Libya, be nice to Libya and keep them solid. Syria, try to be nice to Syria. and support their insurgents. Unfortunately, if Syria wins a war against Lebanon, its internal stability goes up. So that's one of the mechanics. If you win a war, the people get more approval of the present regime. So again, because I'm friendly with all my neighbours, very low military budget, I'm going to buy some more light tanks, Britain, and then fund the nuclear club. Strategic action again, nothing going on. Palestinian problem, nothing going on. The next turn. Relations between Syria and Lebanon worse, and once it starts going bad in this game, it always gets worse. Iraq uses heavy equipment to Iranian advances. Lebanon attack condemned for vicious attack on Damascus. So at least if Iraq is going to lose, it's going to lose quickly and not get a chance to develop nukes. No one has actually attempted to develop nukes at this point. So Egypt, and there we go. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to just hope. I'm not going to be able to really stop them because I don't want to bomb them and then, although I might have got good relations with them, I don't think it would start a war if I tried to bomb it, so I'm going to be nice. Yeah, I'll be very nice to Egypt. May reduce my relations, but it won't start a war. Keep supporting their insurgents. Iran. Again, this we want to undermine Iran. I may also attempt to stabilize Iraq a little bit, just to try and bias the war in favor of who was winning. Actually, just keep destabilize both of them. Destabilize both. Jordan, be friendly to Jordan, support their insurgents. Lebanon. Hopefully, I'm going to attempt to try and take them out before Syria can, because it will stabilize Syria. So I'm going to consider extreme measures. I'm going to try to hire an assassin to kill their leader. It may work, it may not. They're weak enough for it potentially to work. I'm going to be nice to Lebanon, and I'll stabilize them as well in case they eventually go towards Egypt. Right. Improve with Syria. Support their insurgents. So again, purchase out some light tanks from Britain. And nuclear club fund it. Strategic action. Strategic action. I'm gonna hope it doesn't result in a war, but here we are. Tactical airstrike on nuclear installation. And stop them from getting nukes, because that will be very good in the late game. Okay, so attempted assassination of Lebanese leader fails. Syrian army claim control of Lebanon. This will internally make them more stable. Not much I could do about it. Israelis destroy Egyptian nuclear reactor in strike, and the Middle East relative peace settlement approaches. So see what my still got good relations with Egypt. Keep trying to do friendly with opposing factions. I don't know what opposing factions they're talking about here. Iran, but I'll reduce relations with Iran. Here we are, fragile. I'll keep supporting their insurgents. I don't think they'll get nukes before they can be collapsed. So I will spoil relations. I'll keep relations because they're friends with Syria, so I'll keep for now. I will support their insurgents. Jordan. Try to improve. Or supporting their insurgents and starting to work there. Lebanon, we don't have, if it's in black, you don't have to ever think about it again. It's a collapsed government, failed state. They just essentially disappear from the game, but unfortunately they still appear in the menus. So Libya, be friendly to Libya, stabilize them in case they eventually go to war with Egypt. Syria, try to improve with Syria, supporting the insurgents. They've gone back into very solid because they won a war. Okay, I've got a bit more military budget now. I'm going to purchase some SAMs and also some light tanks from Britain. Strategic action, thing to do. Nuclear club, continue funding. Next term. Israel will attend you get a summit every July, I think, so I'll attend the summit. Right, so yeah, that's not too decent. So Palestinians, Egyptians, I'm not going to do it because that means if I ever go to war with Egypt, that means they will start with more territory, so I don't want to do that. So I'm going to. Palestinians very rarely provide any problems for Israel anyway, so I'm going to reject this proposal. Right. Being as I'm not, that's right, not to undertake an agreement not to increase the size of its operational army. Right, I think it gives you good reactions with the US if you agree to it. So I'm going to agree to it. I'm not really in danger of going to a war right now. The Iraqi Islamic fundamentalists spread violence. That means the guerrillas I've been funding are sort of taking over a bit more. Syrian and Israeli use crash course account, right? This is definitely means that Syrians want a piece of Israel now. Want to have a go. So I'm going to need to get ready for that. So yeah, they're also violating my airspace. And yeah, Iran and Iraq agreed. So Egypt, want to be friendly with Egypt. Support current activity, war supporting their insurgents. Iran, just try to spoil with Iran and support their insurgents. Unfortunately, as the war has ended, they've gone back up to solid. I'll keep present relations with Iran. All right. It looks like it ended amicably. So yeah, I'm going to go for still destroy Iran because they're friendly with Syria, so they're not unlikely to attack. They're unlikely to attack Syria, and they may war potentially a nuclear Iran again, and we don't want that because that means Iran can use nukes at the end of the game. Favorable to Jordan, friendly to Jordan because I'm going to now go to Syria. So I've sort of worked it out. I'm friendly with Egypt and Jordan. That means I can attack Syria without risking two front war. Lebanon is gone. Again, friendly with them. Stable. Syria. I'm going to. I'm just going to maintain the present relations. We're definitely going to war. Keep supporting their insurgents. Make policy. So purchase arms. Yeah, helicopters. So I look at Review Force, Nuclear Club as well from that. I look at Review Forces, you see all the stuff I've got. I'm going to now do an immediate deployment to strategic action. Yep, so this is the surveillance, what I bought from that AWACS plane. Surveillance warning, enemy mobilization on Syrian border. So I'm going to go to Syria. Full scale immediate deployment. So that means you go to Review Forces again. I've sent 5 my military brigades there and about 1,500 tanks, 760 helis, 50 SAMs or so. So I'm definitely going to war with Syria. We'll see how it works out on the next term. Checking I did my next term. Iraqi Islamic fundamentalists for violence. Iraqi sources say Iranian leader is totally mad, so they're going to war again. They just agreed a peace deal and they're going back to war. So yeah, Iraqi joint arms agreement there. Friendly with Syria again. Jordanian Islamic fundamentalists for violence. That means Jordan's government is collapsing more likely, and Iran and Iraq are going to war again. So Egypt, crap. I'm gonna sign military pact with them, support their insurgents. Iran, try to destabilize. So definitely going to have to now try to get rid of Iraq. Be nice to Jordan. Jordan is collapsing. Libya, give aid to them. Insurgents. I want to do that with one. Syria. So I'm going to go spoil relations with Syria and support their insurgents again. They're still very solid because they won that Lebanon war. So strategic action, I'm going to go Egypt, tactical airstrike on nuclear installation, Syria. Maximum further deployment, I'm going to put all my army on the border, Syria. And I'm going to purchase some arms from the United States. If you get a really good rapport with the United States, you can get these really amazing anti-SAM helicopters, and they're really good. So I'm going to buy, I think I'll focus more on light tanks from Britain. Scorpion light tank, 200. They're very good against infantry. Nuclear Club Fund. Strategic action, Egypt. Syria. Lloyd. Any problems? Still no issue. Now next turn. Jordanian government 7% voiced all over Iraq again. Guerrillas. Jordanian government rocked by extremist protests. Guerrillas again. Israelis destroy Egyptian nuclear reactor in strike. And selective Iraqi targets destroyed by Iran. They go to war, fighting each other again. Saudis favour Syria over Jordan. So Egypt, still Egyptians are okay with me. Iran, for the insurgents, Iraq. I'm going to go try to take out Iraq, assassinate the leader of Iraq, Saddam Hussein. Guys to Jordan, maybe waned a little bit, but I think I'll be able to collapse them before anything really happens. Lebanon's gone. Be nice to Libya. Stabilised government. Syria. Diplomatic. Spoil relations. Intelligence. Support insurgents. So, a policy. So, purchase arms again. I'm going to get some more. I'm going to get some SAMs. So, light tanks from Britain. Now I'm going to do nuclear again, strategic action, and Syria. I'm going to invade Syria. Sometimes if you invade first, close to them invading, you get a bit of an advantage. So next turn, let's see what happens. So here Iran celebrate victories, Iraq is defeated. That means there's no possibility now of a nuclear Iran and Iraq ending the game. Although Iraq unfortunately can't attack Syria or Jordan, which he wasn't probably going to anyway this game. Fighting starts as Syrians front knock back, and Syrians suffer massive tank losses to Israel. This is very good. Again, be friendly with Egypt, will support the insurgents. Iran, not really much point now, but I'll keep trying to collapse them. Iraq is gone, Jordan, friendly with Jordan, supporting their insurgents. Jordan probably won't last a few more months, so it's going to likely be me and Egypt, which is the typical late game position. Libya, again, be friendly with Libya, whilst stabilise their government. Syria, don't want to. So it'll give me options to open negotiation for a ceasefire or keep them closed. I'm going to keep them closed. While supporting their insurgents, they're also getting a bit more unstable internally as well. Very good. So, yeah, got more of a defence budget because I'm actually at war now. So sure. Budget, so let's do strategic action. Syria. So, okay, so I'm ahead in tanks, jets, about even in light tanks, about even in SAMs, I'm ahead in helicopters. So I'm going to deploy everything further, hope to win for extra forces. So if I now go to review forces, the entire Israeli military is engaged in the war with Syria. So now I'm going to purchase some arms again, get some more SAMs and more attack helicopters, because the attack helicopters really are worth their weight in gold. Nuclear as well. No strategic action. Okay. Nope. And Palestinians, still nothing going on this turn. Right, okay. This is maybe a bad situation which ends the game. Jordanian Islamic fundamentalists spread violence, and Jordanian leader publicly denounces Israeli regime. So that means Jordan, in a few turns, is going to want a war with me. I can't do a two-front war against them. I just have to hope that either I win versus Syria soon, or I collapse their government soon. So again, give aid to them, support their insurgents. Iran, still just, even though it doesn't really matter. Iraq, gone. Jordan. Try to improve. Dangerously weak. I will go to extreme measures and try to start a coup, just to see if I can kill them off before they can actually war me. Lebanon's gone. Libya, standard move. Maintain present agreement. And stabilize government. Syria. I want to keep diplomatic relations closed. Activities of the insurgents. Right. Strategic action. Okay, so now it's going to have to be Syria. I'm going to have to withdraw a single brigade, place them on the Jordanian border. I'm going to do this twice. See, that is about how much equipment I need to take on Jordan. So I'm going to have to really try and balance things here. I'm going to go to Egypt. I'll do the nuclear installation. Hopefully they're not ready to war me just yet. I'm going to buy just a lot of tanks here. Yeah, it can always happen in this game that you can very easily lose it. A situation like that arises. I'm not quite sure I've lost yet. Let's see. I'm still alive. General anarchy as Jordanian government collapses. Perfect. The coup worked. So the rebel leaders claimed control. Coup worked. They couldn't two-front war me. Syria loses heavy equipment to Israeli advances. Very good. Israelis destroy Egyptian nuclear reactor and strike. So it's December 1999. January, you get a big financial aid package from the United States if you've been friendly to them, which I have. This can be $3 billion in military spend. Really going to want that. That's going to help you to take on Egypt in a war. So again, side pact with them. They're not too mad I destroyed their nuclear site, as they're not. Can't really complain too much about that. Support their insurgents. Egypt's still very solid. And doesn't really matter now. Iraq gone, Jordan gone, Lebanon gone, Syria, Libya. And maintain present agreement. Stabilize them. Syria. Want to keep diplomatic relations closed. We don't want them or supporting their insurgents. So now we want strategic action is always going to be Syria. So right, I had to pull off for a moment. I think I'm still confident in this war though. Royal extra forces. Again, it should be, if I review forces, entire Israeli military is on the front. Purchase arms. Let's get some more. I'll get some main battle tanks. I'll get some purchase arms from Britain, some more light tanks. I should say that it doesn't really make a difference what tanks, they're all counted as the same. Regardless of whether they're broken down T-62s or modern Abrams, they're still registered as the same in this game for war purposes. So next turn, let's see if I win. Right, I'm going to hope to put an end to this game soon. Puts a strain on the economy if you increase defense too much. So the United States, I've got medium relations with them, so they've given me $200 billion. So I'm going to increase defense spending. I'm going to try and take Egypt militarily this game within the next year. For Egypt, I'm going to maintain present agreement until I get a war over with Syria and Iran, stabilizing Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya. Maintain present agreement, stabilize them. Syria. Or insurgents, they're weakening internally as well. The war is making. So now it's time for the big arms purchase. I'm going to do these helicopters, 200 helicopters. Do SAMs. I'll get about SAMs. Make SAMs. So now I'll get Abrams tanks. I'll get I will get the rest I'll spend on like tanks. I'm just trying to get a bit of a balanced military. Nuclear club funding. So yeah, they're 1 month away, but is it 1 month? So strategic action. Syria. Okay, I'm about to win. So I want to deploy an extra forces. I should win this turn in Syria. I've lost a lot of tanks, so main battle tanks overall. I started with 2,000, remember? Yeah, so that's kind of bad. I'll deploy all extra forces. I should win this turn. Should finally take over Syria. Syrian government rock. Israel celebrate victory. Syria is defeated. General anarchy as the Syrian government collapses. So now it's just me and Egypt. Okay. I will break the military pact with them now. Keep supporting their insurgents. Iran, Iraq, Iraq, Jordan, Lebanon, Libya. I will hope to just maintain the present agreement. Syria's gone. So, nuclear club, keep funding. Let's look at review forces. Okay, I want to probably get main battle tanks. I'm going to do helicopters and main battle tanks. Spend. Tanks. Nuclear club. Right, done. Palestinian problem. Below. I need this. And do their nuclear installation. Don't want them to get nukes. I want to take them out convention. Yep. Okay. I'll sour the relations a bit. Right there. Losing it a little bit, but I think I'll still need to do them militarily. So, because eventually, if you just stay in power for long enough without winning a war, even though I've just won one, you eventually lose. And I put more strain on the economy with the military budget, so I'm going to probably have to militarily take them out. So purchase arms. So I'm going to get main battle tanks. Again. I will not start building up yet on the border. Let's review forces. quite a lot of stuff, but I don't know if it's enough to yet. While undermining Libya, maintain present agreement, stabilize them. So right now, click up again. So yeah, it's been 1 month for about the past 6 months. Egypt is very strong militarily. Next turn. Okay, so someone is atomic testing. Might be Iran. Yeah, Iran. So they can't nuke me. We're good. All their countries which could potentially use nukes against them. Okay. Gonna have to trade with Egypt for their insurgents. Jordan, Libya. Stabilize them. Policy. It often ends up where you're getting these endgamey type positions with just you and Egypt and two kind of breaks first. So right, more main battle tanks. Big club. Right, finally, I've got nuclear weapons. Right, now strategic action. Egypt, tactical airstrike on nuclear installation. And yeah, let's go. Normally, I'm not this lucky with destroying them. Maintain pleasant relations, remind them more. Libya again. Present agreement. Stabilize their government. Purchase arms. Battle tanks, 200 tanks. I will maybe start deploying next month. I'll maybe try and get the war going. That's it. Cell relations slightly intelligent. Support their insurgents. Oh, yeah. There's an agreement. Stabilize. Purchase arms. USA. Heli gunships. These are really amazing. 550 of them. They're really amazing. Strategic action. Put a small scale deploy to Egyptian border. Right, they've got nuclear reactor again. So I'll maintain the present relations, undermine them, stabilize them. Then I will purchase arms again. Or main battle tanks. Them. So I'll get some light tanks for budget. Strategic action, Egypt, tactical airstrike on nuclear installation. Again, I'm getting lucky. So I will sort of spoil relations now for their insurgents. Libya. Again, just stabilize them. Purchase arms. I want to get more of them fancy things. Get more main battle tanks. Egyptian. Full scale immediate deployment to Egyptian border. If I look at my forces again, so I've now deployed, so I start with 7, so 5 brigades to the border, quite a lot of hardware. Well, I wasn't counting what I had before. Yeah, let's see, next turn. Islamic descent voiced all over Egypt, so they're losing it internally as well. I'm going to spoil relations, keep stabilizing them. So now go to Libya again, maintain the agreement, stabilize them in case they may want to have a go at Egypt by attack them. They could get in a 2-front war. It's maybe not likely, but yep, so I'm gonna this time go to heli gunships, 50 of them. Strategic action again, Egypt. Maximum further deployment. So let's go to review forces. So the whole of my military is now on that border. Next turn. Egyptian government rocked by extremist protests, and they just lose it from within. Yep, I'm going to have to spoil relations, support their insurgents, Libya, stabilize them. So now purchase arms, yeah, 4 main battle tanks. When I'm out of this point, strategic action, Egypt. I'm going to bomb their nuclear installation first, because we don't want them. Yeah, so again, I destroy it. I haven't lost a single bomber this whole game. That's really rare. Because I was nice to them for the most of the game, so I could destroy their nuclear reactors without aggravating them too much. If your relations are indifferent, you may then trigger a war by doing it. But it looks like if you're very good with a country, you can blow up their nuclear reactors and stuff in this. Right. So Egypt, spoil relations, support insurgents. So Iran. Libya again, just stabilize Libya. Don't need to consider it's a failed state. Right, so I'm going to go to USA, get more of these really amazing gunships. So I've still got a bit tank with some 50 extra light tank. And if I review forces, 50 of them gunships, 200 battle tank time. Enter review, strategic action, Egyptian border. I'm going to invade Egypt. What happens? I've got another financial aid package, so I'm going to maintain current level of defense spending. I should win this war with the second round of US financial aid easily. Maintain current level. Increase current size of army. Invasion, so I should be able to knock out this game easily before I face any internal problems through over spending on military. So, yep, they're losing. They're suffering massive tank losses to Egypt. Right, so dangerously weak. They could collapse internally any moment. Libya again. Stabilize them. In case they want to have a go. Although it looks like I'm just going to win outright. So now, purchase arms. Let's get a bunch of tanks. Why not? Yeah, some gunships. Some of these helicopters. Some more gunships. US financial aid is very good. And let's get a purchase arms, Britain light tanks, 750 light tanks. Okay. So strategic action, let's see how the war is doing. So right, I'm winning in basically every regard possible. More troops, but they can bring in a lot of troops, Egypt. So it could be like they've got 3,000 on the border next turn. But it looks like thus far the war's going very well for me. So I'm going to just deploy extra forces. The whole of my military on border. As if I go review forces, yeah, whole of military on border. And that doesn't even include what I've spent on financial aid. So I'm going to go next turn. Well done, Prime Minister. So I won. So Egyptian Islamic fundamentalists sped violence. First tank battles go Israel's way. General anarchy as the Egyptian government collapses. So it looks like either they fell internally through their internal problems because of my guerrillas, what I funded, or they fell because of the war. So I hope that was helpful. That was Conflict MEPS. I've got was quite a slow game to start off with. It took me about 6 months, 7 months to get into war with Syria. By then, Jordan were weak, Lebanon were weak or gone. I could win that war. Because I was strong with Egypt, I could keep blowing up their nuclear reactors without starting any conflict. Yeah, that was pretty easy game. Almost ended up in a two-front war with Jordan. Most of the time in this game, it's a bit more complicated than that, but that's sort of a good tutorial game for everyone. So I have been Ivor Mectin by COVID-19 Ultimate Misinformation, by the way. That's my book. Or you can give money directly to me on Ko-Fi. I'm still trying to get that mansion in the Bahamas for $45 million.